Hey guys, Sachi Neverwinter here, or Sachi the Bateri. Today I'm going to heal a TiC. So as you saw, I walked in, I used Blessing of Light, Healing Word, my artifact just because I can, and then just kind of used at wills. There's really not too much for this section, no one really gets hit, kind of just standing around. For healing powers, I slot Intercession, Bastion of Health, and Healing Word. For pretty much all of TiC, I don't really think there's any other necessary powers to slot. A lot of people use Divine Glow and drain all their divinity. As you can see though, I've got Overflowing Spirit. So my divinity is full, I do 25% more outgoing, which really helps if you have low outgoing. Even if you have high outgoing, it's just 25% healing, there's nothing really better than that. And it's great for Healing Word because it'll last for a while. See, one person dropped a tiny bit of HP, so I can use his Intercession. When I can, I use Intercession or a daily while at full divinity because it won't cost me any divinity. Even tab, just because it doesn't cost much divinity. I'm gonna mark the tank, he's already marked. And yeah, that way I stay mostly full for in case I need to use, say, a healing word. So here it's just safe to use healing word because then if someone gets hit, hopefully they don't die and they'll just stay at full. And so I run Wyvern as my debuff artifact because it's better for AoE. And AoE is what you'll encounter 90% of this dungeon. And so here I can use the healing word. And I can just kind of sit here. Intercession on the tank. Little bit of tab. Nothing too fancy, just holding my at-will. Bit more tab for the tank. Blessing of Light. We're just sitting here watching the tank's HP go up and down. We can use a Bastion if he drops a bit too much. And we're nearly full divinity again, so we can use another healing word and that'll deal with all the DPS. Got a dead player, we just want to use Bastion on them, usually. Intercession's a bit better for the tank. So I'm dropping kind of low on my divinity in my opinion. So I'm just watching that tank, tabbing when needed. Can use artifacts here again. No one's really in any danger zone for HP, but I'm full, so I'll just use another healing word, Intercession on the tank. Always prepare for a DPS to die or lose a lot of HP when he's about to do a dash. It's hard to gauge, it's just a bit of timing. As you can see, there's really no struggle there. I'm just sitting, kind of just AFK to be honest. What else? I got Vorpal enchantment for buffs. I got lucky with crit 7 my Forge's box, Squash Soup, Superior Potency, Wildstorm. They all give crit severity, which is probably the most useful thing. Some people like to use Sorbet for the power, but honestly, power is never really something good to slot for a potion, just because it's usually going to make it even harder to get a good crit ratio. So basically, I didn't really drop. I'm the only one that dropped HP there, so I just kind of used a potion. No need to waste divinity. Bit of a weird grouping that they've done. But yeah, so my main focus is always having my Blessing of Light active and always ready to use a healing word, typically. Healing word, Intercession, Blessing of Light, they're the main three that you're going to be touching. And just at wills. got a Wondrous Thingy-mabob for that extra 100 magnitude damage, which is stronger than any hit that we've got, except for our daily. Just gonna avoid the red, walk on through. Can even use a Bastion on them too, just to give them a tiny bit of HP. Always gotta watch out for the horses, because they give you a charm. As you can see, someone dropped HP there, but it was only one, so I just used a Bastion. Tank's dropping, so I can just use my tab. I don't know how I managed, I don't know what that was just there. It looked like I had a Warlock power on me. Again, tank's dropping a little bit, so I can just hold tab. And just constantly walking every now and then to avoid the sentry power. Blessing of Light, because we can. Tanks pulled aggro, so now we use Healing Word. So another one is use a Healing Word before you go into combat, or if you use a Healing Word after you go into combat, just make sure you're not near any mobs that haven't been aggroed. Because usually you won't take aggro from the tank, but if you take first aggro, you're going to have the mobs on you. So here it's a bit of a risky zone, so we'll just pop a Hollow Ground, using the first daily that we barely even need to. Healing Word's not active, and I've got full Divinity, so I'll just pop another one. It's a pretty good group go. Mostly just one person doing the DPS, but that's fine. So here, usually, well, first make sure the party knows full pull. And so once they've aggroed the first 2 sentries, that's when you want to use a Healing Word. Because now we can just chill, because otherwise it's pretty easy to pull aggro here. And so as you can see, they didn't decide to move on, so you make sure they stay, otherwise 1 or 2 people will go away from the group, and it's just not going to be nice. We can pull a little bit of aggro here. This is a weird group. And I could use an AoE at will for more damage, but it really doesn't matter. Tank's got charm, so we gotta watch his HP bar. And just Healing Word and Bastion, I'm just alternating. But like so far this is, you know, nearly the lowest my divinity's dropped, and it's like 75%. So this is key point to use a Healing Word there, and we did get the tank. Cool, okay, I think we get to do a full pull this time. Now we can use a Hollow Ground, that way everyone knows they've got a bit of a safe space to fight. Usually if any melee DPS, if they're not constantly dodging, it's going to be really hard for them to stay alive in this zone. So this is one of the places where you lose a lot of divinity. But I mean, I've ran 2 dailies now, 2 hollowed grounds. Should probably swap my other for the Guardian of Life. Alright, so we're about to hit the second boss. It's fairly straightforward, a little bit more difficult. It's just a matter of making sure the tank's full HP. I would say that's the most important thing. You want to know that he's got a tank breaker. So the boss does 2 outwills and a big tank breaker. You want him full HP for that. Even like, no matter what tank, you just want them full HP. This guy's got 840k HP, which is, tank breaker will do like 600k. So, you gotta be careful with that one. We're gonna check what artifacts people are using. Got Forge, Envenomed, Blast. I was gonna swap to Blast, but someone's already running it. So Wyvern's still my best option. Okay, check that potions are all active. Yep. I'm gonna use a healing word. Alright. He's got heaps of HP. Basic things like, avoid the fire, avoid the explosion, and right about now is a good time to artifact because the DPS are just coming in. Can use another healing word just because of full divinity, and it's basically the main reason. He scrolled. That's crazy. Also for this, you want to be in a spot where an imp can get you, because there's no reason for to avoid the imps if you're a healer. The DPS should normally stand right in that corner where I'm facing. If you're right in the corner, 99% of the time you won't get imped. So I'm pretty sure it'd be out of their range anyway. And then, as you can see, the little fires, just walk along the wall for them. Heal the tank when necessary. It's phased again, so I want to stay where I can get imped if possible. Alright, we're going to leave him, otherwise everyone's going to die. And we're going to heal him on his own. So in this boss fight, you're never going to use hollow ground as your daily, just because no one's going to be able to stand in it for long enough for it to be effective. Always going to want to use Guardian of Life when it's needed. There we go, now I can get everyone in my radius, and that's a good heal. Tank a little bit of intercession. This is going to be difficult if people get imped into the fire, like me. Another one you can do is avoid getting imped by standing next to where the imp will be and then dodging behind the pillar before you get stunned, but it doesn't always work. .48%, yeah, there we go. So we died, so we can use a squash soup. That'll give us 3% crit chance and 5% crit severity, which isn't really useful. I mean, sorbet might be better just because my power is low. Just not sure why. Because earlier my power was like 170k. And here we're like pretty close to useless. I don't even know if I'm gonna have to heal until like maybe if people get imped at the next area. But like here what I can do is I can go up first, give the imp an at will, and then dodge. And that'll bug that imp. We can group up these mobs pretty well. That'll make it easier for DPS. Tank lost the mark, so I'll have to mark him again. There we go. Ugh. Can use our Forge's box as well, since we died, that would be inactive. But yeah, my rotation, if I had to sum it up in the easiest way, other than all the powers and feats and stuff, Blessing of Light, Healing Word, and Wait. If someone's already low health, in a session or daily, then Healing Word, and then just pretty much wait. Bastion of Health for clutch heals. Oh no, the tank's dropped like 20k. Use a little bit of tab. Two imps here. I can probably get imped. There we go, tank's imped. The most unnecessary heal. And someone's aggroed all those. So the last boss is probably the hardest because the tank has a tank check, which is just he gets chained and it does a lot of damage over time. And 9 out of 10 times the tank can't tank at all without a heal. I love when tanks pull in here as DPS because they're just all in one spot. Especially with Searing Javelin, because you just shoot a javelin down the tunnel and it kills everything. Okay. Bit of a DPS gap. The rogue's doing as much damage as like everyone else. Doing like probably 35-40% of the damage. Let's see. 205, 250, 267-ish mil. First 183. $183 divided by 267, 68. So he's doing 32%, I think. Did the division wrong. Not sure. So here I'm not even going to use Healing Word first, I'm just going to wait for someone to get blasted in the face. and no one did, because we have a good party. Can use a tiny heal on the tank. Can use a healing word here. And just by guessing time, it takes about 3 seconds for that to pop. Get ready to heal someone if they take a little hit. Like, no, he's fine. Immunity framed it. Alright, now here we focus on the tank. So I use my mount power and artifact just to give him less damage incoming. Okay, we can use an intercession first to keep our divinity full, then a bastion, and then it's already done. So yeah, the main thing there, I guess, intercession first over bastion, so that you stay full divinity, so you get a little bit more outgoing for the bastion. I can use our tab. That took, you can see my divinity bar, that literally took no divinity. We gotta dodge before the fire hits you, because sometimes it'll knock you into it, into the wall, and that can kill you. We gotta spin so we can use a healing word and an intercession. Always avoid the fire on the floor, because that can be quite deadly. Looks like he's gonna get another tank check, so we're just ready with bastion. There we are. Get out of his radius. Tab first. Right click bastion. And that's the tank check already done. Some tanks will drop a lot faster than that and a lot more HP, I think. I know last mod they did. Last mod it was a pretty big deal. He's gonna spin soon. Another one to know mechanics in this boss pretty easily. The floor tiles, they go in rows. When they've finished doing all of their rows, then you'll get the bombs, and then after the bombs you get a spin. So we're just going to use another healing word, just in case some people don't have it, or have dropped too low. And then, before tank check, we want to use our mount power and artifact. And now we can use tab, intercession, bastion, and that's it again. I've used my daily twice this run. I'm just showing like it can be relevant, but it's not all that necessary. Just go left. So with, yeah, always avoid that part because as you can see it made a few tiles. You can just use that. Okay, now here we gotta watch the party as a whole. So we've got someone on low HP. We've also got tank check right here. So I can use a third daily. And artifacts because we're about to have DPS check. DPS checks here. And someone popped him in the corner. Okay, we can still get combat advantage here. Oh god, this is gonna be really close. And there you have it. That's how you heal a TiC. Same thing applies to pretty much any other dungeon, except for Tom, you want your crit avoidance up to. I mean, for this rotation, you saw my divinity was like never below half. So as your divinity drains, it's this one. 10k crit avoidance when your divinity is full. So it's when you're standing, it's always going to be full. So 65k. So if I use all my divinity, I'm going to be at 55k. The cap for crit avoidance for Tom is 80k. But you want to run 90k is what people say, or 95. Not too sure, but I run usually 85k is fine. Sometimes you'll get really clutch and you'll have a death and people else are dying, so you have to just spam Bastion and your divinity is going to drop quite a lot. So it can be hard to manage sometimes, and you may lose crit avoidance there, but the chances are, at that time when you lose that crit avoidance, you're not going to get a hypo. So everything should be all fine. And then I'm just going to quickly go over my gear, feats, powers. It's always worth re-rolling the chests in TiC and Tom as well, because even though I wasted 40k there, I could have gained, potentially 2 books of Veiled Darkness. Can't see my keyboard, so that could have been, nearly a mil. Okay, so for gear, my striking rings just have brutal, power, crit. I have tacticals in most, if not all, of my utilities, except for just the arms because I use them for DPS. My modifications are all power. Boots are HP actually. It's not that big of a difference to me. I don't really need that much. I've got all I need. For the shirt, again brutal, just power and crit to keep the ratio better. Defense should all be, I've got a demonic in there, but it's mostly radiance. For my holy symbol, I've got 2 of them, so this one has Blessing of Light modification, just gives 5% more on the Blessing of Light. So really you're getting that 25% bonus from the feat, the class feature, and another 15% from Blessing of Light. So that's a lot of heal. Power and crit sev for your icon, even if you're DPS, it's fine. I'm also running a Vorpal, so that's extra crit severity. Steer of the Stars Hides gives you more power when you heal or deal 10% or 15% of your HP in a single blow. Lion's Guard is good too. I just don't see myself needing a heal because I am a healer and I have health potions. What else? For companions, I run 2 gold icons for TiC and a spiked belt for defense and crit. Otherwise it's all crit, it's all profane rank 9 in offense, profane 12 in defense. Alternatively, I run Regal Citrine Ring. This is crit strike, crit avoidance. I run this for Tara the Mad Mage. And instead of Dominant Force, I run 10k crit avoidance. So that's why I can get my stats quite well for Tom. I'll swap them out now and you can have a see. So it keeps my crit ratio pretty similar to what it was. Defense, cap for Tom, crit avoidance 90k. And it's like right on the money. I think I did something different with defense recently because it's up, but my defense was that's right. I swap out the profane in this one for an arcane, I think. One that has deflect. For companions, just green outgoing, a blue polar bear because it was good value, and just 8k power on the deep crow. All my mounts is just dominance. I think I have 10 dominance with power, companion influence, and 5 brutality. Just maximizing power. I only have Swarm and Arcane Whirlwind. I'd probably recommend, Swarm's good for the crit avoid and the power. It's a debuff. Not as good as T-Rex or Griffin if your party doesn't have one. So most healers will opt for a Rex and a Griffin as their legendary mounts. Campaign boons, all power, all HP, and I've got a little bit of crit in there too. Always want to get Marathon Runner for the extra movement, and Companion Influence is always nice to have. Master boon, this one will give a heal over time if you heal 10% of the target's HP. That's just a chance. It also increases power and reduces the recharge, which actually isn't that good. This might actually be better. Blessed Resilience, for the tank at least. It's such a small difference that I don't bother. What else? I actually haven't changed these since the new mod, so I'm gonna have a quick look now. When you heal someone with Healing Word, the duration's extended. It's still better than Empowered Soothe. Increases Divinity regen every 3 seconds, can stack. Alright, so if you don't use a power for 3 seconds, your Divinity regen's faster. Or reducing the cast time of your next Light of Divinity to 1 second, decreasing Divinity cost by 50. Which one's Light of Divinity? Okay, so that's pretty useful. So if you use a Bastion of Health or a Healing Word and then use your tab, it'll actually heal faster. Divine Glow and Exalt, the effect of decreasing your damage taken by 10. No one's going to do damage with this power, so you're best taking that one. Anointed Army, we don't use that really unless we're trying to buff in a really high DPS group. Guardian of Faith or Guardian of Life will give you an extra heal, so that's kind of a given. Extends the cast time of Channel Divinity to 3 seconds, holding Channel Divinity to its full cast, net cast, Gathering Light. Divinity cost does not increase further. Not too sure what that one does. And this one extends the cast time of Channel Divinity. I don't know, I might look into it later. Doesn't seem too important in my opinion. I guess that's pretty much it for the guide. Not much more to it. So thanks for watching. I hope you can heal better from this guide. This is what I use. Some people do different stuff and they just spam powers. Someone loses health, Bastion. Someone uses health, Healing Word. Someone loses health, Intercession. I don't know. I just see that as a waste of divinity. You can see because they'll use what do they use? They use this one, Desperate Prayers. So when they lose divinity, they do more healing. That's okay, I guess. I don't know. I just find bigger heals at full divinity is much more preferable. Because you're always going to start combat at full divinity. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Forgot to mention Bark Shield 14 in defense. Great defensive enchantment. I wouldn't really run anything else. It's just better. Anyway, catch you in the next video.